and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and
He missed the complete that. He's crazy
Side by
stuff.
side, Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through, he tags Richard Eck.
They hail from around the globe, and though separated by oceans, they gather in the virtual world for reasons as varied as their locales. Whether it's a defending champion looking to retain his title, a new and eager hopeful striving for recognition, or a legend prepared to recapture past glory, in the end, the one goal they all share is to win. But when naming a victor, only one driver's name can be etched into the record books. You're watching the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour.
There is a strong wind of change pilfering through the Norfolk countryside this evening as the prospect of a title fight now turns in the favour of the mere mortals. As spooky and as scary as the racing can be, hopefully we will see no skeletons at Snetterton for the Halloween edition of the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour here on iRacing Live and presented by the Global SimRacing channel. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tidal Influence Countdown to Green and pre-race coverage of one of the biggest trick-or-treat series in the world, where a surprise may be lurking around any given corner, or shall I say, tombstone. I am the undertaker of this show for this spooky, scary Halloween special. Mr. Hashtag Do You Mind himself, Jake Sperry, taking you all on a boat trip down through the netherworld. And of course, besides me is the man straight out of the Little Shop of Horrors, being Bill Soupzahn. Doing the monster mash behind the cameras will be Joe Peak, with the headless cameraman Dougie Beard making a couple of children cry already. But Soup, today is a brand new battleground in the form of Snetterton, and the 300 layout signalling 3 miles worth of racing a lap. And, well, you'd say that 3 miles worth of racing a lap is always going to be very difficult. Another one of those ex-airfield circuits, Snetterton does enough to send shivers down anybody's spine.
It does indeed. I'm a little nervous right now, but before we talk about the track, let me remind everybody that most everything on the Countdown to Green is brought to you thanks to Tidal Influence, an ecological consulting firm based in Long Beach, California, that restores wetlands, saves and studies endangered species, and educates children about our environment. For more information, go to TidalInfluence.com. Now, we are located here in Norfolk on the island of Great Britain. Snetterton Circuit was opened in 1951, built on a former WW2 airfield. It's flat. The original circus was constructed on the leftover runways and taxiways, but as you might expect, the track has undergone many renovations and upgrades, with the most significant change having been completed in 2011. This place has played host to various international championships, including the British Formula 3, British GT, and the British Touring Car Championship. iRacing offers 3 configurations of Snetterton. The Circuit 200 is 2 miles in length and features 8 corners, while the Circuit 100 measures just under a mile and just 6 turns. But today, the MWT boys are tackling the longest config. The 300 circuit is a hair under 3 miles with 13 corners, several of which pay homage to famous drivers including Hamilton, Brundle, and most recently, the Montreal Hairpin was renamed Wilson in honor of the late IndyCar driver and Formula One driver Justin Wilson. But really, to get an idea of what this place is really like, let's just jump on board and take a lap around.
Alright, we're in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Snetterton. Coming down to Riches, most first corners offer good chances to pass, but this fast double apexer only needs a slight brush of the brakes and then you're powering through the rest of the corner. That means any side-by-side action will be incredibly nail-biting. Really, the first good opportunity for an overtake is the Montreal Hairpin up ahead. But be careful not to outbrake yourself, because this is an incredibly tight little turn. From out of the corner, you're going to switch sides as we enter the newer infield section. Palmer is another bend where you slow the car very little on entry and will get back to the power surprisingly early. Be sure to use the runoff to help carry your speed coming out of the corner, and then you get something of a rest until the next one. That, of course, is going to be Augustini, where you'll really be tempted to turn in too early. But you'll be forced to wait to get on the power if you do that, so look to late apex this hairpin. Otherwise, if you try to muscle through it, you're just going to understeer off. Then, as you come up to Hamilton, you'll hear me hit the limiter, but there's not much point in shifting up since you get through here with a small lift. Quickly get it into 4th, bring the car to the left, and hit the binders for Augies. This corner looks sharper than it actually is, and I promise the car will stick if you plant your foot down coming off. After that is Williams, which is very difficult to read. I always feel like I'm leaving something on the table through here because it seems like the car wants to understeer, and it's important to get on the gas as soon as possible because we've hit the Bentley straight. Some drivers might get a bit of a slipstream as they fly along here, but it's going to be pretty scary if you and your opponent go into Brundle too wide. Even at the best of times, the simultaneous braking and slowing makes the car get very skittish. You're doing your best to make up time, but also not overshoot the tight bend of Nelson. From there, you're coming up to the bomb hole, which is flat out, but only if you're single file. The car might get a little bit light on exit too. Finally, that brings us up to Quorum. There's a bunch of different ways you can approach this long bend, but whatever you do, the end goal is to bring the car off to the right so that you have the correct line into Murray's. Much like Brundle, it's tough to get the car to steer and brake. This time, though, it leads you back onto the front stretch, so a good corner exit is a lot more critical. That sets you up for more potential battles into the first corner, either by the draft or someone coming off the corner poorly. But hopefully you've now finished a lap around Snetterton.
The GSRC MX-5 having a devilishly good time circulating the home of the forgotten for us and demonstrating the many pitfalls awaiting drivers today. But as I said at the beginning of the broadcast, in some form of variation, there was some respite from the Grim Reaper last week, Soup, and the second third of this season now decides to take shape. How does the championship look?
Let's go ahead and take a peek at it right now. Sonny Ketchen is out in front. Now, some may wonder how his point margin actually increased over Errol Num, despite Num finishing ahead of Ketchen last time out. Without going into the boring details, there is something that they call the perfect attendant bonus, and that's what Ketchen is benefiting right now, where you get to drop your worst race and replace it with 90% of your average. Don't worry about it, but what it does do is it really encourages drivers to race as often as they can. The defending champion, the Rolling Estonian Errol Num, is still in the hunt, keeping Ketchen honest there. As a result of his first career win earned last time out of Phillip Island, Robert Hartley moves up to third. Now, this being Halloween, we could sure use a driver from Transylvania. The closest we have is Patrick Fliss from Slovenia. Don't sure if that works or not. He's in fourth. Travis Swanky, still looking for a podium, moves up to the left side of the graphic there. A runner-up last time out has Stelian Shevlevsky moving up 7 positions. Dries Nice continues to climb up the ladder. Now he is in 7th. Brian Holm finishes next to last in Australia, so he drops down to 8th. Richard Wurst is the second best rookie driver so far behind Shevlevsky, and the Base 8 hammer Tom Ratchey rounds out that overlay. Quickly, let's move to the amateur driver standings. The left side of the overlay pretty much remains static with the exception of Bambi, a.k.a. Neil Bamber's sudden appearance there in 4th. Kip Stevens, Andy Gooderson, Gianni Quintier sit 1, 2, 3. Frenchman Jonathan Bouteille sits in 5th. Okay, there you have it, Jake.
Well, I'd arguably say that Shepelevsky's origins go back to Bulgaria, so I think he's another driver very close to Transylvania, Soup. But right now, perfection is another word for not being human, and with everything going bump in the night like a friendly neighbour who cleans up after your house got egged, the rules and regulations are here to soothe the fears of... Let's get some words out. Soothe the fears of newbies.
Okay, now if you're a long-time viewer in the spirit of England, go ahead and take this opportunity to fix up a bowl of strawberries and cream. If you're new to the viewers, eyes up front. Okay, scheduled. It's round 5 of 12. There are no drop races, so anything that happens on the track counts. However, there is something that's unique to the MWT called no-show compensation. That can be used 3 times. If a driver misses a race, he or she is compensated his points equal to a percentage of what he earns during what a regular average finish would be. Race distance, this is the most important one. 22 laps today. We'll see. This is going to be new to all these drivers. The MWT's never raced here before. We'll see how that plays out. Open setups. They get to do whatever they like, but what's important is that it has a restricted fuel cell, which means that they have to stop for fuel somewhere about the middle third of the race. Fast repair, no. The MW's always been a you break it, you bought it league, so keep the car clean. Now, there is no incident cap. However, the series does chart incidents, and a driver's ranking and the miles per incident standing has a value of 1 race. And before we leave this, let's talk about it. The Australian sage, Richard Losper, sits atop that clean driver's chart. Alexander Lorentson sits in second. And how about this? 3-time reigning clean driver champion, Trip the Aerosmith, his nickname obviously referring to a rock band that has been notoriously clean for decades, sits in third on that chart. And there you have it.
There you have it indeed. So qualifying still underway. 2 laps to set. 10 minutes. The allotted amount of time that you have chance to set it. Kanchin currently leading the standings as things go at the moment. So a 2:05.237. Richard Worth, though, in the 5, back up to second position and absolutely showing that he has his money's worth as he heads through Riches. So there's a few puns and a half for you there, Soup. But Richard Worth up to second, and that's going to be a good feeling for Sonny Kanchin.
And as we look at that, how about last time winner just jumping to the chart? Brian Holmes gets up to the top, coming off his win in Australia. Let me correct myself. That was not Brian Holmes who got the win up there. That's our rookie, Brian Holmes, sitting up on front. Good for him.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, he's showing that he's got himself a good amount of pace about him today, getting himself up at the top. But there is something to note in terms of what is going to be the number 47 machine today, unable to participate, and you have a reason why, Soup.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Cesare Rizzo. He's been a little naughty. He's had 3 incidents, a standard incident and then 2 major incidents. That's 3 and 4 races. So what he's on suspension, and he has to come in and show up here today, but he doesn't get to race. Now, that doesn't mean he's a dirty driver. It just means he's learning what the MWT requires. Sometimes drivers are not a good fit, and it takes them a while to get going. So I'm glad to see him out there participating. We hope to get him back, and he'll figure out what he needs to do, and he can be part of the membership.
0.3 of a second quicker than anybody else. Robert Hartley, the winner last time out at Phillip Island, gets himself to the point, the front of the field, 2:04.980, and nobody really close in that terms of regard. But let's keep our eye out then on the driver, Brian Holmes. He's heading himself down this long back straight here, down this straight, heading towards Brundle here, this left-hander, and this is a braking corner here at turn number 8. You've got to be careful. You're always braking while turning, which is difficult, into the right of 9, which is Nelson, and then you hit the most iconic corner on this circuit here, Soup, the bomb hole, downhill, because a bomb hit that area of the apex, which makes a massive depression and makes life very difficult there through 10. Then you got 11 and 12, which is always difficult here of Corin. This long, looping right-hander where you're scrubbing off speed all the time, waiting to hit the brakes into the final left-hander, and then get a run down the center straight and a drive to the line. He needs 3/10.
Of course, the final corner there called Murray's, after Murray Walker. Jake, that's something for you and I to thrive for. Maybe we can get one called Soup, or maybe a Sperry, huh?
Well, my corner would be, do you mind I'm cornering? But that's a different point. But Chepelewski now needing to find some time. Currently in 7th position overall, a 34 machine through the bomb hole. And now looking to try and make this run over towards the right-hander of Coram of turn 11. Turn 12 and Murray's will be following very swiftly afterwards there as he just gets himself to hold it 144 kilometers an hour into the left-hander, throwing the vehicle in. He's got to be careful on the exit. Off-tracks are incredibly tight at this circuit, and accruing them is going to be a very big hit on the off-track points overall today. He makes the drive to the line. He does not improve on his lap time, so that's a big decision. So for Hartley right now, you can say he is arguably the driver that has pole position right now. There's one driver who can change that time. That is Joe McDonald, but I think that he's maybe a little bit too far back to get himself over through. So what we're going to do right now is take you through what we like to call here at Global Sim Racing Channel as the Heusinkveld starting grid. Heusinkveld offers a broad array of products and services, including advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware, and sponsors on practically every major team in sim racing today. If you're looking for an edge in racing, get in touch today at heusinkveld.com. The grid is as follows. Robert Hartley then, pole position really running a high train of form at the moment, 204.980, ahead of Brian Holmes in second position on a 205.2, so he may need Dr. Watson to help him out a little bit. Sonny Kanchan, though, championship leader, third position on the grid, a dangerous position there for him to work with. Tom-Erik Voll, always there, hasn't yet found the magic to get up onto those podium positions in fourth. Richard Worth in fifth, with Iru Nom having to play defense again in sixth position. Then you got Chepeleski and Fliss, seventh and eighth. Ninth, the amateur of Stephen Van Opstal doing a brilliant job, and Gianni Quintelier rounds out the top 10.
Stephen Heffert is in 11th, followed by Noel Lundberg. In the Baker's Dozen spot, it is Travis Swanky. Tom Rathie behind him. Eric Garcia sits in 15. All ribbons and curls in the Sweet 16 position is Billy Bob Wright. Nick Thiessen in 17th. 18th goes to Jupe the Loop Willemsen. In 19th spot, it is Andy Gutterson. Rounding out your top 20, Gene Mush Finish Finnis.
And then Ludwig Sauer gets himself blackjack and double deuce for Michael Wright in 22nd. Jonathan Buttel starts on row number 12 with Jordi Fike. Atsushi Maeda, the Japanese driver, 25, with Lorne Murray, 26. Then you got Jörg Dankert and Max Wright, 27, 28. Row number 15, Derek Holland and Kip the Hairflick Stevens.
Three-time mile-per-instant champion Trip Errol Smith sits in 31st position. Joe McDonald behind him. Jeroen Ursum in 33rd. 34th and 35th go to Richard Stevenson and Al Heaton. And then your final two drivers did not put in qualifying times. Lee Deemer, and we don't think Cesare Rizzo is going to get to race today as he's serving that suspension. 36 drivers expected to take the grid.
36 drivers is still a formidable grid when you head over to Snetterton. And it's always a very dangerous circuit in towards turn number 1 of Richards Corner and towards Wilson of turn number 2. It's about being the bravest man on the brakes. It's a momentum-based circuit. It is very much about how the vehicle flows from corner to corner, especially in that middle section of the lap. Lights up then on top of the lights gantry, and we're going to get ourselves underway for 22 laps. Shocker of a start. Brian Holmes on the front row of the grid. He allows Kanchan instantly to move side by side, and Tom-Erik Voll will look to take advantage of that as well. Hartley's clean into Riches, turn number 1, and it's not going to be a case of rags to riches in the early goings for him, but still side by side for position number 3 as they make the run towards Wilson, turn number 2. They look to funnel themselves out. Nom has a little bit of a look. 3 wide behind. They all sort themselves out into the 180-degree right-hander. No issues to mention.
Yeah, they got through one. That was the issue. Getting through Wilson, the hairpin would be tough, but the whole field gets through cleanly as they head down the rest of the way.
They certainly do. Gene Finnis then would start from pit road, but the battle for second hotting up. Kanchan versus Holmes right now, and Kanchan can't afford to let Robert Hartley get away in these early stages. They head into Agostini then, the left-hander corner right now at just 80 kilometers an hour. On the power, get yourself back going again. Here's Hamilton, the left-hander, a blindish left-hander. Not much elevation change, but it is a very difficult apex to hit as you head into Ogles of turn number 6. This double apex right that you try and make sure that you sort out every single time. Williams following up, and just looking at the field right now, Noel Lundberg trying to put the pressure on Van Opstal, who's gone backwards off the start.
Don't need to go there. Michael Wright had it off. He falls all the way to the back of the pack, but he's still racing. Still
racing, still doing a very good job. So this is the straight that everyone will be looking to make the most of their opportunities on. This is the Bentley straight that they're all trying to get into correctly in towards Brundle, and this braking area is always going to be very difficult for all these drivers. And you can see just how respectful everyone is as I take an eye at Steve Hefford trying to find a way past the leading amateur in Gianni Quintelier. And for Quintelier, looking at where Kip Stevens is in comparison on this grid, he's going to be gaining a massive points haul from today if he finishes where he does.
We talked about the amateur of Chepelevsky, getting corrected there a little bit, Jake. I think Tom-Erik Voll is also a rookie. He's been really impressive. When we say rookies, remember, these guys have experience. They're only rookies in relationship to their time in the MWT.
Exactly, and that's something very interesting to note. The weaving's already started on the opening lap, 7/10 of a second between Hartley and Kanchan, but Kanchan drags a train of 3 with him, including Brian Holmes and Tom-Erik Voll. Richard Worth trying to hang on to the coattails through Richards as if he was a pickpocket in Victorian London days, but he's unable to really close up until he gets to this corner of Wilson and get himself back onto the power and going again. And this is the nature of this circuit. It gets very tight, it gets very narrow, as Quintilier again under pressure from Hefford, as he may look for an opportunity in towards turn number 3 out on circuit of Palmer, and he's not able to make that move. A very limited opportunities. You can see just how everyone runs wide, very similar to Brands Hatch, where they're going next week.
You heard Jay talk about Quintilier. He's our top amateur driver right now, racing in 9th overall. Stephen Van Epswald back there in 11th position, next amateur.
Yeah, and both of them really close together. Look at this scrap, though, further down behind Jurt Willemsen. You've got Ludwig Sauer, Andy Goodison, Jonathan Bittel, Jordi Fike and Lorne Murray, Gerd Danker and Derek Hollendal there. 8 amateurs in a train looking to scrap it out through Hamilton and in towards Ogles. And right now, you'd say Willemsen, well, he's got the Gathering of Tweakers experience, but right now he's got to be careful. MWT is a different kettle of fish, and he has got a big train. Welcome on board to what is going to have to be as known as the Jerp Jeep.
There really is a train that goes all the way back to 17th, Eric Garcia. That's when you get to a break, back to Jupp Willemsen that we just saw. But as there you see, he's leader of the second train right now, racing in 18th position.
And that's Van Opstal, who's gone into the grass on the exit of what is Nelson Corner, turn number 9. Let's see if we can get a GSRC replay of what happened. So he took too much of the curb, trying to be aggressive on that exit, and that corner there, it's so difficult. It's so easy just to run wide, but he tried to sacrifice running wide with a bit more power, and it all checked up behind him as well.
That happened right in front of Noel Lumberg, who was able to get a good view of it. Did not lose any momentum. And that's going to move our next amateur driver up. Billy Bob Wright now moves into second as far as an AMS go.
And that's going to be crucial for the amateur championship, but for the pro championship, the overall championship, it's all about Sonny Kanchin and when he gets to the race lead sometimes, and not why he does it or how he does it. It's sometimes a matter of knowing that he can. He had to play the recovery drive, though, last time out of Phillip Island to spin on lap 1. No such worries this time, but he's not having the rub of the greens his own way here today, Suit, because he's now got to do it from behind. And this is where the pit stop strategy may come into play today. It's a lot earlier than people think. Lap 9, I think, is about as early as you can possibly go.
You can see those drivers is now about a 6-car train. Cheppy Stivalevsky trying to hang on in 7th. He's got him and Patrick Slitz back there running 7th and 8th. They don't want to lose contact with the Rolling Stone, Errol Num in 6th. As the racing up front, Jake, is pretty tame. They're just kind of in line right now.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're just trying to find themselves maybe an early bit of consistency at a circuit that they don't know too well at all. Very different in contrast to Phillip Island, what was 1 week ago, when they were 9 vehicles within 2.5 seconds when they crossed the line at the end of the event. So very much a different race and a different strategy here today, heading to Snetterton.
Not to mention elevation changes. Phillip Island noted for his rises and falls here. Whenever you race on an airstrip, you're pretty much guaranteed a flat surface.
Flat surface, but there are corners like the bomb hole, the down and up, that always looks to put a little bit of difficulty on these vehicles. Hartley under pressure now from Kanchin still, and Brian Holmes very happy to sit in the catbird seat of position number 3, almost breaking a second away from Tom Erik Vold, the Norwegian driver, in position number 4, as they all take the incredibly uber wide line through that final corner of Murray's Corner, and you can see the weave starting to happen. And if Kanchin's not careful in the 59, he may allow the 58 of Brian Holmes to maybe slip one down to the inside at Riches. You can see there is a half defense already being applied by Kanchin. And Opstal out.
Yeah, you know, he had that earlier issue, and now a second one as he has left us.
And that's a shame for him. He qualified incredibly well in this event, and he will just go back down through the field. A top 10 qualifying as an amateur. Nothing to shake a stick at, but that's the way that it sometimes works. But still, though, Kanchin's looking at Hartley, thinking, I've got an opportunity to make these moves, but they're not just quite happening the way that he wants them to happen, as it's a very wide line, actually, out of Palmer Corner from the driver of Stelian Chepelewski. He's lucky to keep himself on the island, keep himself going. But look at this, a good run off the exit, though, for Kanchin at the front of the field. May have had a chance into Hamilton, but unable to get the drive out of the corner.
Real peaceful going on. I've been watching through the field. The most passing is down on the center straight. That's the main straight going down out of that final corner of Murray. That's where they seem to do a lot of the work right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, when you're looking at that moves down to turn number 1, it's always going to be the case to be made. Travis Schwenke right now against Gianni Quintelier. This is against the leading amateur right now. Dory's got to keep swimming, and just in front of him, a massive off for Steve Hefford just in front. Got to be careful about doing those too many times, because you might just bite the bullet one too many and start spinning yourself around. I think the issue is down this Bentley straight to try and make the move is that the fact is it's a left-hander into a right-hander, and you're braking, which always makes life difficult in towards this right-hander. 2 lines of taking it, very noticeable with Steve Hefford in front.
And you look back there, this is a battle for 10th. This is really going on here with Quintier. This thing has been really tough the whole time he's being chased there by Travis Schwenke.
It certainly has, and a hard charger moving up through the field is Derek Holland, +7 as things stand. The amateur started 29th, up to at least 22nd in the field right now, and looking to try and continue on this way. But for the race lead, Sonny Kanchin thinking about it into Riches, didn't have a good enough run. He thought about it into turn number 1, but it wasn't good enough. Got to be careful now towards Wilson of turn number 2. Let Brian Holmes back into play, and it won't happen into turn number 2. Holmes, you could argue, is technically on a bit of a recovery, but you can see just how much they're holding each other up. Vol's back, Worth's back, Nom's back. They're not careful. Cheppy and Fliss are back. That's a train of 8, and that's a dangerous train of 8.
So we look at the leaders. I'm not so sure how much 0.2 of a second lead is worth right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Hartley wouldn't mind dropping back into second. Remember, he's burning the most fuel out there, which means his stop is going to be longer than the rest of those guys.
And we know that, especially coming out to Phillip Island, the driver who gets out of pit road first and is leading the race does not necessarily win the race by the end of the event. It is very much a case of you have to be in the fight to stand a chance. Take Dries Nys, for example, from last week. Of course, not running here today, but he went from 21st on the grid to a podium finish, which is almost unheard of in MWT standards.
We look at that there. We were watching that battle with Schwenke and Quintier. I can just report that Schwenke was able to make the pass. Now he moves up into 10th. But my goodness, he is 1.3 seconds behind Steve Hefford. He's got to get going or he's going to lose touch with the leaders.
Well, Steve Hefford is struggling a little bit when it comes to certain corners on this circuit, so he may have an opportunity to get back sooner rather than later. But the more pressure that's applied on Robert Hartley at the front of the field, the more that he will drop back into the clutches of everybody else. And it's the driver in the 078 in 6th position that you have to keep a focus on, because Iru Nom's done it through consistency, but he's got to start finding those results that push him forward in this championship. 6th places throughout the entirety of the season is not going to get you your bread and butter and is not going to put dinner on the table. Holmes now with a great opportunity now to close in on Kanchin. Big issue though, Kanchin's got the toe as well.
As we watch, the leaders are catching, still waiting to make his move. Can we take a second and leave those guys for a minute? Let's go back to 21st position. This is a real battle. We can't stay on it too long. This is Lauren Murray and Derek Holland. We know we've talked about Holland making that climb up. He's run onto the back of Murray now. This is really going on. And also Jupp Willemsen in this battle as well. These guys, let's give them a little screen time there as they cross the line, working lap number 6.
Holland from Indiana looking to get past the Scotsman. Not often that you get to say that. Noel Lundberg, I believe, has just come down in and made a stop and come back out again on lap 6 of the event. That's very, very early, Soup.
Yeah, I'm almost going to think maybe there might have been something that we missed on that one. That's, if it is in the window, my goodness, the window is just beginning to open.
And lap 6 out of 22 means going 16 laps on a tank, which is marginal to say the very least. But sometimes you have to make the marginal calls in this event to get yourself moving into a position where you can get something happening. Just keep my eye on Patrick Fliss right now in the number 1 machine. Not, of course, the champion, but will happily inherit the number 1 car overall. But just looking at what he's got to work with here in Chepelevsky, they are dropping off at the back of this leading train of 6 in front of them. And because they don't have that draft, they're dropping back 0.4 of a second every single lap, and that is harming their race.
2.5 seconds up to Errol Num, who's the caboose on the 6-car train up front. Those 6 cars up front run in the same order that they qualified, with the exception of Ketchen and Holmes that were able to change positions. Other than that, that's racing as they qualified.
Oh, and Kanchin's off there at Corin, and that's a weird place to make a move. He was too wide heading down onto the apex. bump yourself to the back of the train, and in fact, he is very much with Chepelewski and Fliss, and that's crucial for Chepelewski and Fliss. They can run with the times that Kanchan can do to get themselves back into the train, but a rare unforced error from Sonny Kanchan trying to be too aggressive against Hartley.
Yeah, we say rare unforced error, but if we go back to the race at Phillip Island last week, that's almost an identical, a mirrored image of it, as it's a right-hand corner this time and a left-hander and the southern loop that happened at Phillip Island. Luckily, same thing happens. He doesn't lose nearly the position that he lost last week. Is he able to get back in there? But now he has to hustle.
He does have to hustle. He's dropped back now to position number 6 out on circuit. He runs wide through Wilson, allowing maybe a chance for Chepelewski and Fliss to start making positions. Now, if you're Iru Nom, you see that driver behind you who's made a mistake. I think you got to push now on Richard Worth and say, I've got to start making moves and making positions. Every point is vital. And he may even lose second in the championship at this rate if Robert Hartley gets another race victory here soon.
Boy, looking back there, Kanchan is really struggling a little bit. If we can drop back director to 6th position. This may, though, be the best thing to happen to Chepelewski and Fliss. Maybe if Kanchan is fast enough, these guys can get on his coattail and let Kanchan take them back up to the train, turn it into an 8-car train.
And what we've been saying from the very, very beginning is that this is the first real iRacing season we've seen Snetterton. He's only had 5 weeks to adjust to it, if that, because he's been practicing with other circuits as well. So Kanchan's having to be a little bit careful, as again, he almost puts all 4 tyres off on the outside of Williams as they make the run down the Bentley Straight for the 7th time here today. Out of 22, 14 minutes already scored complete in this event, looking towards 15 as they go on the brakes. Your race leaders in towards the section of Nelson right now. 2 different ways of taking it: a slow line through Brundle into Nelson, or a quick line through Brundle for a slow run through Nelson. And it's about which way works. Behind that, though, you got Schwenke versus Hefford for the final spots inside the top 10, and Schwenke's done a brilliant job of getting back to Hefford, 8/10 of a second almost on that last lap.
And just to follow up on your point about this being a new track, Kanchan certainly has talent, but nobody works harder than Sonny does. So that, with it only being a short time to learn the track, I wonder if that's going to put him back, kind of level the playing field with the rest of the guys that don't work quite as hard as he does. As we look at Kanchan, now we go back. Now we're looking at Schwenke. Now we look at Kanchan racing at 6, beginning to pull away a little bit from Chepelewski.
Yeah, certainly starting to pull away just a little bit, so we'll keep our eyes on that. We'll also keep our eyes on the battle with Lundberg, Fike and Britell having a good scrap out on circuit also, so not much going on between them, not much happening, but Worth versus Nom. Nom had a run there, he didn't manage to make anything of it, but if he sets a good run up here through Palmer, he may have a chance to dive one down to the inside of Agostini. It's a rare place you make a move, but it's one that can be very, very beneficial on the brakes.
Yeah, I just wonder if he's just going to wait till the pit cycle, although he doesn't want to get too far back. Nom notorious for coming in early. Not sure if he can afford to do it this time, because I think if he would to pit now, he would come in and have to deal with all the slower traffic behind him. So I think he'll probably stay out there. Maybe it might be a case of follow the leader this time.
It may be indeed, but what is worth noting here today, Soup, it's a short pit road, so times on the lane will be a lot quicker than it would be normally. For example, Noel Lundberg has already come in, made 1 stop, and he's in 16th position. He's only down 4 from where he started, so there's not that much loss you can really attribute to today.
Yeah, Lundberg having a nice run ahead of the French driver Jonathan Boutel. A pro driver again. Our top amateur driver is still, where I lose him there, Gianni Quintier racing in 13th position.
He certainly is. And just in front of that, Soup, I know you've been keeping your eye on this one, Thyssen versus Ratcher.
Yeah, this has been a pretty good one. The veteran Tom Ratcher, he's got almost 120 starts in this series under his belt, but look at what Thyssen is doing here. Really pressuring. This is a battle just outside the top 10 for 11th position.
And every point matters in this championship, especially for Ratchi, who is inside the top 10, the fabled top 10, which gives him a spot on the GSRC leaderboards at the beginning of most broadcasts, as he takes that wider line, trying to open out that exit. A little bit more wider, though, from this, and was able to carry out that corner a lot better. And now we'll have that run down towards turn number 1 on circuit. Vehicle down on lane is Willemsen, that's with damage, so that may be he bought it. He's now got to pay for it a bit here, Sue.
That's how that works. Ratzi does a good job of protecting the racing line there. Good battle going on. maybe, Jake, we go back up front right now because I think those top three guys, you talked about Errol Num starting to get a little bit worried. I think the top three guys beginning to pull away.
They are pulling away. The gap between Richard Worth and Tom Erik Voll when they last crossed the line was 1.6 seconds, very much outside of the draft range capabilities of the MX-5s. But the big worry is behind Iru Nom because 1.8 seconds behind is Sonny Kanchin, closing half a second a lap. And if you're Iru Nom, you don't want to let through Sonny Kanchin. You will not make life easy for Sonny Kanchin to get through. And that's the crucial factor. Sonny Kanchin is matching the race leaders in terms of times. In fact, he was the second fastest man of everybody on that last lap.
Yeah, my plan to have Chevaleski and Fliss follow Kanchin back up to the leaders, that didn't work because Kanchin has left them behind now, a second ahead of them, and closing in on Num really fast.
Exactly, and with Murray's corner being the final corner, the Murrayisms have to come out. Catching's one thing at Snetterton, passing is most certainly another, and we have seen that here today. Passing has been more of a premium than it has been at other circuits around the world, but that doesn't mean that Snetterton isn't a worthy circuit. It is a very difficult challenge, but it's partly down to the narrow nature of the infield sections.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a little more strategic compared to what we saw at Phillip Island, where there were a lot of good passing zones during the twisting section, but boy, when you get down to the straight there was easy pickings. Not the case now as we look at our battle there. For the lead, Holmes racing in second.
Well, it seems that he needs maybe a little bit more deducive power in his mind palace as things stand as Brian Holmes. He gets a good run through Riches, maybe has the opportunity to send one down to the inside at turn number 2 of Wilson, unable to make that happen. Tom Erik Voll very happy just to sit on the coattails, just wait, just hope that he can get himself a position. You also got this battle going on further down the field, the likes of Max Wright versus Joe McDonald, and well, he may not have a farm, but he's looking to get Blackjack very wiggly off the exit is the driver of Max Wright, and something I'm noticing right now is Joe McDonald diving down to the lane.
Now that's definitely in the window, and that's kind of Joe, what he likes to do. When things get a little hot, he'll come in, get a quick pit stop, and see if he can jump those positions. Let's mark that down. He came in racing in 21st position. We'll see how that plays out.
We certainly will see how that plays out. Just behind, though, Sonny Kanchin, Chepaleski and Fliss have to be careful. They've allowed Hefford and Schwenke to just drag up onto the rear for the top 10 battle from 7th down to 10th. And as we say, every point matters. It just takes one little bit of contact at this circuit and you are around and losing 5-6 positions. But get this, though, here today, Sue. Top 10 still within 10 seconds after 10 laps.
Yeah, but that's a great point you saw there with Steve Hefford starting to run down that duo of Chepaleski and Fliss. And I think Fliss has probably had enough. You can see him duck out there looking to make a pass. In fact, Fliss is actually going to get around Chepalevsky, moving up into 7th position. I think Fliss says, we got to go, man.
Machine will make too many syntax errors if you are behind Chepaleski, so he decides to move forward like the Terminator and try and make some positions. Something interesting I saw was bump drafting down the straight between Holmes and Hartley. I think they want to break away and have a race between themselves, and I don't blame them in this situation. I would rather have a race of 2 rather than a race of 3, but look at who's menacing like a shark again. Sonny Kanchin thinking about Iru Nom, but Nom again will have the draft of Richard Worth, but it's still going to be an overspeed though for Kanchin. Here comes potentially the move to Riches.
And yeah, he has got there now. It did not take him that long. And again, it might be in the best interest of those guys to let him through. Maybe they can pull him around a bit. A little bit of a love. Oh, can we go back to Chepalevsky right now? This is important. We talked about Hefford getting into him. Maybe our director can find it. It just happened. Hefford bumps Chepalevsky and turns him.
Oh,
Chepalevsky. I think we've got it.
Yeah, that was into Riches, turn number 1, and it's that margin of braking that you don't often get to see. Riches is a very quick corner, and if you're carrying a lot more speed and the two different natures of slow into fast out or fast into slow out converge, it easily makes contact like that. And Chepaleski, who has had the wrong side of the luck all season long, once again drops positions because of being on the wrong side of luck here soon.
So just a while ago, he was racing in 7th ahead of Fliss. Fliss gets by him. Hefford catches him, turns him. He loses more positions. And now he is well down racing in, about 10th.
Exactly, and I've just seen Hefford lose that position to Schwenke and completely drop off the back. I wonder if he's going to give this position back, here soon.
That would be quite a move. Not sure if the IRT is going to let him off with a penalty, but it's a nice sportsmanship move anyway.
Well, he is.
I think he is. Nice call, Jake.
It is a nice call, and well, Hefford will try and save as much time as he can in this event, but I think what he's going to do is he's going to allow Chepelewski maybe to just close himself back in. The only other suggestion will be that he's got damage on the front, and there's nothing suggesting that there's too much happening in that respect. So I think Hefford may be more inclined to let that position go, but at the front, it's now turning to a battle for position number 2, Holmes versus Vol. In comes 1, in comes 2, in comes 3. They're all in at the same time. One track pit road, careful on the lines. Who stays out? Worth comes in, Kanchin comes in. Iru Nom, surprisingly, the man who comes in early will come in late.
Okay, well, if burning fuel means anything, Hartley should be last out of this because he has led most of those laps. He has the top pit position. Holmes right behind him in second.
But watch out for Kanchin. He's normally the quickest man when it comes to the fuel, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him leapfrog a couple of drivers in this pit stop window. We wait to see who comes out first, and there we go. It's going to be the driver of what is going to be Tom Erik Vol, who gets the jump on the field, and more crucially than that, he gets a massive jump on Hartley. Kanchin right up behind. Worth, though, the driver who loses out in all of it. They've got to be careful. They've got the battle of Fike versus Butel that they're just trying to negotiate past. They've all got through that. And Lundberg versus Billy Bob Wright just in front.
Pit times, I'll give it to you. Hartley was in there for 18.3 seconds compared to Ketchen 14.4. Now, Ketchen was, of course, last in. That's why he came out closer. But Vol, 15.3. That's why he's out first.
And Sonny Kanchin, a master at fuel saving and a master at keeping clean on circuit. Hasn't had that same sort of luck, though, over the last couple of rounds. But he puts himself with Robert Hartley, and that's very crucial because even after that mistake, he's now put himself back to where he needs to be. But the crucial factor is Tom Erik Vol's about 2 seconds down the road and trying to run away. But Tom Erik Vol hasn't shown the one-lap pace yet this race to prove that he can keep that gap at 2 seconds. I wonder if Hartley and Kanchin can close that gap down by the end.
And this all going on behind the rolling Estonian, who's out there rolling right now, trying to put in a hot lap. Not sure if he's going to come in this time or run that tank until it's totally dry. But he wants to distance himself from the guys that are racing about a half lap behind him. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, certainly is. Into the final corner then of Murray's. He heads along, takes a lot of curb on the exit and a bit of green AstroTurf. He will cover the move. He'll dive down onto the lane. Got to be careful about this one. It's a very, very panicky one at just 55 kilometers an hour. Fliss stays out and will inherit the lead. Schwenke dives down onto the lane. Hefford stays out. Chepelewski decides that he wants to stay out, but now you look at the likes of Tom Erik Vol. He's now trying to negotiate Billy Bob Wright, who doesn't have to give the position. And you can see he's being very cautious into that final right-hander before trying to open up the power once again in questions to where Iru Nom is. He won't have to run into turn number 1. He'll get off of the lane right about now. So in comparison to where Tom Erik Vol is, here comes Billy Bob Wright. Here comes Tom Erik Vol going through. But crucially enough, Iru Nom right there with Kanchin.
And right now, this might be good news for Patrick Fliss as well, as Vol has been held up by the slower car. He's still trying to work his way around Billy Bob Wright. Billy Bob in that X-Lac machine trying to do his best to stay out of the way, but the car has mass. It's not invisible, and still Wright Vol still can't get by him.
And there was contact behind that as well. Hartley and Lundberg coming together a little bit through Wilson Hairpin, and you can see an up and under trying now from a desperate Tom Erik Vol, and Billy Bob Wright will not play ball. He's an amateur. He doesn't have to give the position, but what he can do is just sit and wait. Big power move, though, from Sonny Kanchin into Agostini. Gets himself past Noel Lundberg. Now we've got a train of 3. Perfect for Iru Nom. Please let Billy Bob Wright hold people back even more. It reminds you of that Spa race in AOR where a certain Jake Sperry decided to hold up the field.
Well, keep in mind, this is not a blue flag situation. This is a battle for 5th right now. Yeah, Wright still needs to make a stop, but he has every right to stay out there, and this is the best news that can happen to the Slovene machine. Patrick Fliss is out there running hot laps.
Yes, and he will be able to try and hold on to that position and actually gain time in the stop. Same for Hefford, same for Chepelewski. He lets them through, but now Tom-Erik Vol under pressure because the outside is Hartley looking to try and get the outside to the inside. Vol's not going to let this one go, though, into the left-hander. Forces him to hold that tracked inside line. Sacrifice all the run up on two wheels. Kanchin thought about it. They'll stay side by side for the bomb hole. This is very, very dangerous now into the right-hander. And look at all of this battling. Irunom just needs to get past Lundberg through Koren and get himself through Richard Worth there as well. And he had a double take.
Boy, that is some great racing going on. Ball in front of Hartley. Kanchin now in third. Lundberg back there. He still needs to make that stop.
And Fliss stayed out.
Going one more.
Well, we're going to go on board then. Replay up on screen. GSRC replay for what was a two-wheel moment. And that was a big, big thing that was happening side by side, though, for the what is, you could argue, the net race lead as things stand, as Vol holds that inside line for turn number 2. Trying to track the outside is the driver, Robert Hartley. Now it's time for Hartley to try and run for the hills. Big power move from Nom in position 5 in the train. But Robert Hartley now to the point, at the front, making it happen, making it work as he still needs to find a way past Noel Lundberg. Does the driver of Iru Nom. Nom finally manages it, but at what cost? 0.6 of a second, my guess.
Fliss was about a second and 0.2 faster than the leaders there, so he's making up a ton of time.
I don't know how much time he needs, but he needs a lot, and that is going to be very, very helpful when you consider the fact that he was about 6 seconds back at the time that they were coming down onto the lane. So he's hoping that they hold themselves up a little bit more, but now there's no bottleneck in the train. Robert Hartley can run laps to his heart's desire, only if Tom-Erik Vol decides against it here in this event. Lap 14 here, out of 22. The time is flying very, very quickly. 2 drivers, or 3 drivers, shall we say, have yet to come down onto the lane as the leading lot. Patrick Fliss, Steve Hefford, and also the driver of Nick Thyssen in the 15 machine. Those are the 3 drivers who have yet to make a stop on the end of lap 14. We'll keep our eye on the number 1 machine to see if he dives down onto the lane, the Slovene machine. And, well, it may be a daydream right now, but nightmares become realities very quickly. Down onto the lane, the Slovene machine.
He's a veteran. He knows how to hit his box perfectly. He'll want to be perfect. Honestly, it's a tall order for him to get out in front. But if he can get out in the back of the train, I think he would be happy with that situation.
And also in his Hefford, also in his Thyssen. So this is now a clear run for the driver, Robert Hartley, who is looking to go back-to-back after his first ever win at the circuit of Phillip Island. He wanted to say his second was going to be a lot easier. Fliss gets out of the way then. He needs to get the power down, but this is a long hold, a long wait, and he's going to be right at the back of all of it. And he's going to completely drop away behind Richard Worth as well. It's a train of 4 then for the race win. As things stand, it's going to be a case of Hartley, Vol, Kanchin, and Nom. And you have to say, these are the 4 quickest drivers in this field of MWT, and they're all within 1.8 seconds when they cross the line.
Fliss did his best to get out there, and right now, maybe we can go to him real quick. He is side by side with Travis Swanky. This is a battle for, I believe, 5th or 6th position right now, and Fliss finally gets the best of it. Swanky going to have to drop back into 7th.
Well, we know Travis Schwenke has prized himself on his consistency. Heavy wide line, though, from Patrick Fliss through Palmer. They can do that. There's no instant limit, but they have to be careful about how much they extend as they head themselves on the brakes into Agostini. No look then for Travis Schwenke into the left-hander. Maybe a chance. Will have to come out of Williams and down that Bentley straight once again. But Tom-Erik Vol is the big key here for Robert Hartley, and I think winning this race, because Tom-Erik Vol can't get close enough to make that move. Sonny Kanchin, in my opinion, right now here, Soup, could.
So let's review what happened there before the pit stops. Hartley and Vol were in good shape. They were in that lead group. Ketchum was just beginning to catch him. The big guy that came out the best out of that is Aaron Numb. Remember, Numb was well back of the lead pack. Right now, he's there if he can hang on in 4th.
And he'll try to hang on as well as he possibly can as they head towards Nelson once again. The key corner out on circuit 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, he's certainly doing a very good job, but I'll take this time here, Soup, to hand it to you. You have a back marker report.
33 drivers on the lead lap. Let's start with the last one on the lead lap. That's Al Heaton. racing back there. He's got a long way to go to get up to the Japanese driver of Atsushi Mieta, running in 32nd position. He's racing all by himself as well. Well, no, he's not. He's got Lee Deemer right in front of a nice little battle for 31st there between Deemer and Mieta. Go up one more spot to 30th position. That's Michael Wright. He started in 22nd, so he's down 8. Andy Gooderson, remember we saw him doing really well in the amateur group. And we go, oh, sorry, it's Jeroen Ursum is first there. We're going to look at him in 29th position. And Ursum then in that battle with Gooderson for 28th. We'll leave, let's stay on this for a second there. Let's stay on this one there as Jeroen Ursum in the pink car going to try to make that move. And I think we're going to say that he's got that one done. Let's give it to you as we move up, we go farther. George Dankert in 27th spot. Up to 26th position right now, that is Trip Errol Smith running there, trying to chase down the guy in 25th, Ludwig Sauer. 24th goes to Kip Stevens. And that's about all the time we have for our Eagle S Tavern 60-second back marker salute. Check on in if you're up in Green Valley Lake. Jake?
Well, no worries at all there. Green Valley Lake always doing very well, but it's the battle of the front four that really is eyeing everything up. Top four split by 1.2 seconds out on circuit. And as I said at Phillip Island a week ago, one small mistake can have massive consequences towards the end of this event. When they cross the line to start lap 17 of 22, that's 6 laps to go. That is just 18 miles of this circuit, and 18 miles does not seem like much on the outset.
All right, here's where all the veterans of this series start to groan as they watch here, as I'm going to talk about it again. Fuel. Sonny Ketchenstop, 14.4 in the box. That compares to Robert Hartley, 18.3. Ketchen, clearly the fastest of all the guys in the box, but so often that's the case.
It is, but the big thing for Sonny Ketchen is he's able to save fuel behind Tom Erik-Vold because he's in the middle of the train. He can happily sit and wait, then make positions as and when he feels that his fuel number is what is classified as quote-unquote safe in this event. And as you can see, he thinks about making a move on Tom Erik-Vold, who doesn't get the best of Murray's out of him. So there's a chance, a half chance. He wasn't fully in the draft, but he'll try and pull it alongside. Brian Holmes is out of the event after an incident on that last lap, but Kanchin is through to position number 2 out on circuit, but there could be an up and under. He has to defend the position now. Tom Erik-Vold defending, Nom to the outside, makes it position number 3. Contact between the two protagonists.
As they come out with this report that Holmes had a self-spin. But right now, this is great news for our leader. Hartley starts to pull away while those guys battle behind him. Catching now back up into second. Look at that. Num now has put himself in third. It's funny how the cream rises. Rookie Tom Erik-Vold back to fourth.
And just like that, and it's a wide apex though from the driver of Hartley through Agostini. He's got to be careful about doing that too often because Kanchin will not make those sorts of mistakes of missing an apex by an inch or 2 inches, or even about the 6 foot that was missed by Robert Hartley. You've got to keep yourself inch to perfection, and there's traffic in front in Al Heaton. They'll catch him at the most opportune time on circuit. That's the run to Bentley. But right now you have to feel Kanchin has to pull back that train with him right now. Iru Nom needs to stay with Kanchin, and you know what? It's a fantastic run out of that corner from the driver of Iru Nom. He may have a run on Kanchin by the end of Brundle.
And Heatonbake knows what he's doing. Of course, I'm talking about Al Heaton as he pulls that car over, lets him by. Now, if we watch here, a harbinger of what may come, there is not enough time out of Murray to make the pass down the straight. That start-finish line was going to come too early. So if you're thinking about doing it at the very end, that's not going to be the case. I like being the leader out of the final corner.
I certainly would like being the leader as well. There's always the chance to send one deep down to the inside at Murray's corner. It is always a difficult one because you're always trying to track that same line, but you can see everyone just extending to their heart's content, and a big wiggle from Iru Nom going on that wider line on the off track, on the dirty grass and dirt that is there stuck on the outside. And as you look as they cross the line, look at how Kanchin's kept that gap down to 0.3 of a second, even while battling. He was almost a second back at one stage during this lap. That's how hard Kanchin is pushing and bringing this gap now from a train of 4 more rather to 2 battles of 2. And Iru Nom knows this, and there's not much he can do about it except hope that he can get another shot at Kanchin, and that is not very likely.
Yeah, I think Hartley and Ketchen are veterans of the series. They are smart enough to know if they start battling now, that's only going to bring Numb and Gall back into the picture. I wouldn't be surprised if we see these guys race nose to tail for at least the next 3 laps and then start to decide it amongst themselves.
Behind that, Worth versus Fliss versus Schwenke. Worth has fallen back into the Fliss-Schwenke battle, and well, the platoon of veterans against one of the rookies in Richard Worth. Well, Richard Worth, he's been through Rich's corner, but it may be a rag story at the end of the day where he comes out with not much at all. Richard Worth then through Hamilton corner. Right now, hoping for something. Schwenke running very wide there through Hamilton. Go very careful at that corner there, Mr. Schwenke.
We don't need to go there. I'll just report that our amateur leader is still Giovanni Quintilier, racing in 12th position.
That's not bad at all by his standards. Eyes though on Kanchan. He's thinking about eyeing up the move here in towards Brundle. He leans towards the inside of the corner, but it's going to become the outside as they head into Nelson. Room is given, tracks the outside line, pinches the man to the curb, and Kanchan gets the position. Nom thinks about making the move down at the bomb hole. He can't, and Kanchan instantly half a second clear.
Got to give a tip of the hat to Errol Numb there. I know he's got to be frustrated because he doesn't have the pace. He had the opportunity to make the move on Hartley, and he just didn't push the issue. Sits back racing in 3rd. Now he's got to hope that Bob can get back up to Sonny.
Well, I'm not sure Robert Hartley has enough in the tank to make that happen. Remember, Sonny Kanchan over the last 2 laps of this event has done absolute wonders. You look at a 2:07.5 from Robert Hartley. It's been 2 2:06.5s from the driver of Sonny Kanchan, so the pair of them working at it. 4 laps to go in this event, and it's 4 laps for Hartley to get back at Sonny Kanchan. But the big thing is, there's draft available for Hartley for the first time in a while.
Yeah, if he can stay close enough through the twisty sections, he might be able to pull back up there, and that could bring Numb up in there as well. These guys have distanced themselves. It is a mile back to Richard Worth, who's having a very quiet race in 5th position. He's about 4 seconds out.
4 seconds out, but 4 seconds out with Fliss and Schwenke just behind. Credit, though, to Nick Thiessen in 8th position. Very quiet. He's gained himself. Get this here, Soup. 9 positions on the day from 17th to 8th. And behind that, Chepelewski, Hefford, Ratji, and Quintelier. Quintelier's come to play with the big boys.
Yeah, we look at that. Jake did a real good job of setting the stage there. You have 4 cars up in front, then a 3-car train, and then this train back here in about 11th position.
Big power move, and that is 2 positions gained for Tom Ratji. Bay State hammer at Agostini. Not over.
Whoa, it continues. Go ahead.
It does, and Chepelewski wasn't able to hold it around the outside at Hamilton. It's difficult to make that happen. He has to fall in line, but Tom Ratji with the move of the race so far.
Ratchi, Chepelewski, Hefford, and Quintelier.
And here comes Hartley. Oh my goodness. He thought about it at car, and you don't make them there. He thought about it, Soup. It didn't pay off, but look at that, right tucked in underneath the rear of Sonny Kanchan.
Yeah, Kanchan was trying to pull away. I thought he was actually going to leave them behind, but Hartley says not so fast as they come across with 3 to go.
With 3 to go, lap 20 of 22, just 9 more miles of Snetterton left to go, and to the outside it will have to be for Hartley. Vol thinks about it as well as Nom, but he can't do it around the outside the same way Kanchan tried it. That's not going to work, but he gets a better traction run off of the exit. He's got to do it at Wilson turn number 2. On the brakes into the right-hander they come along. Irunom will happily sit and wait in position. If he can hold it around the outside, can Hartley, he may have an opportunity of throwing one down the inside at Palmer to hold the position, and he forces himself to get just enough room into the left-hander. He goes. Left-hander of Agostini as well will be helping his cause. Kanchan thrown out to second, has to track out wide because he was losing all that grip, and Nom doesn't have a chance. Vol thinks to the outside, and Kanchan's still there at Agostini.
Numb gets right up, almost gets into the back of Hartley. Of Kanchan, I apologize. Numb right there in 3rd now as he's starting to make a move on Kanchan.
And Kanchan blocks him, and Nom has to brake, and he has to brake and check up Vol. So now all the fireworks starting to go off in this train, and it's Robert Hartley looking to go back to back here as one of only 2 winners this season, including the man behind him, the 2-time winner, the 3-time winner even, in Sonny Kanchin. Now Tom-Erik Voll versus Iru Nom, and Nom can't afford to be dropping any points to the 2 men in front. And look at this, watch out for Sonny Kanchin, who'll make this move very early on here down Bentley, and I'm wondering whether it will be defensive line taken here from Hartley to force himself on the outside. And look at how hard Kanchin needs to go to the inside, almost to the right end of the circuit, to try and make things happen, to get the outside. And you know what? All out of position they both go, and they still hold it side by side for the bomb hole.
Boy, Hartley really tried to protect the inside, and Ketchum said, no, I'm going to, whatever you are, I'm going to go in more inside. And here he comes fighting back.
Around the outside of Cora, and that's a brave move. A brave man does it, but you've got to be a brave man if you want to make it at Cora and into Murray's. He won't be able to make it into Murray's, but he's teasing the idea there, Soup, of I can make it on the final lap, even if you take that position away from me when it comes to Nelson and the bomb hole. And look at that, instantly all 4 to the pit wall.
The defensive line, this is good news for Numb. Numb is back there waiting for any opportunity. He knows he doesn't have the pace. He's just waiting for a mistake so he can get up in there.
But he was too aggressive on the curb there, Soup, heading through 1, so he's got to be careful. Kanchin again, though, defensive in towards Wilson. Up and under attempt, though, from Robert Hartley. Double outsides, though, triple outsides, though, as they head towards Palmer, Agostini, and Hamilton, the next 3 corners on circuit. And he'll try it around the outside, maybe an up and under, but he just can't get the vehicle pointed in the way that he wants to, so he'll have to sit behind for the moment. No chance of making the move down into Agostini, but this is where the battle happens. And right now, Sonny Kanchin is fighting for more than just a victory right now. He is fighting to remain very much in this championship fight and in dominant control.
Hartley, very cool out there, just picking his lines. Let's see where he does here. If he's going to be defensive, nope. He doesn't have to worry about it because they're not close enough.
Not close enough yet, but this is the penultimate time they'll be heading through Williams onto the Bentley straight. The question now is, does Robert Hartley make the move or not down here, or does he decide to wait for the final lap to make things happen? He knows he'll allow Iru Nom back in if he decides to wait. You can see that gap closing slowly but surely as they head themselves under the Snetterton footbridge into the left-hander of Brundle Corner, and there's not going to be a move, and that's very, very crucial. And up on 2 wheels there, you saw again from Sonny Kanchin. Hartley's there, but he's got to make it happen. He's got a lap to do it soon.
Yeah, I would have thought that was his best opportunity. He's not going to have that opportunity now coming out of Murray's again because there's not enough time. Let's see where he plays it. Maybe on the backstretch.
Maybe on the backstretch. That's what we're thinking. The white flag will be out in the broadcaster's box in the gantry as well, and it's a very wide line from Iru Nom behind, and that could take him out of the battle entirely for the race victory, with Tom-Erik Voll sitting in wait side by side for the lead as they cross the start finish line. The difference when they cross 14 thousandths of a second is not 2 thousandths like Phillip Island, but to the outside at Riches. A rags to riches story maybe for Robert Hartley, unable to make it happen then through turn number 1. Maybe a chance at Wilson. Turn number 2, Nom goes defensive behind in the battle for the podium, but Hartley going the long way round like Charlie Borman did 10 years ago, unable to make that happen then, and trying to make that work again, setting up the outside. Needs a better run here now through Palmer to set up Agostini as a viable opportunity to make the move, and he gets a fantastic run here through Palmer. Instant defense from the driver of Kanchin as they make the run to Agostini. A defense also from Nom, too wide, too deep like Noah's Ark, into Agostini corner, turn number 4, out on circuit, but Kanchin holds on, Nom holds on as they make the run to Hamilton, up and under, heavy to the inside now goes the driver Robert Hartley, wanting to make that move, needing to make that move, but they hold it too wide, out on the grass though, leaves the room, does Hartley, and Nom's going to be Mr. Opportunistic, down to the inside, little bit of contact, and maybe that's the chance that Kanchin needed to break away. Voll breaks through as well, and from rags, or from riches to rags, shall we say, from Hartley, who was at one stage leading this on the final lap, now down to 4th. Has it now become too little too late for the driver of Iru Nom to close down Sonny Kanchin? He'll be trying to use everything, hoping that maybe there's a little bit of nitrous left over in that vehicle or something to give him that propulsion down in towards the left-hander of Brundle, but unfortunately he's not going to be close enough in towards Nelson. Hartley's going to have to think desperately if he wants the podium against Tom-Erik Voll. It now relies on mistakes surely now from Sonny Kanchin. through the bomb hole. No issues at all. But look at how Nom closed that gap 0.3 of a second. We saw it 14 thousandths over the line. It relies on Nom now, who hasn't led all race long, to make the one move when it matters the most. Final corner, traffic in front. It will not matter though in the form of Jeroen Ursum. He'll beat everyone to the line, but Sonny Kanchin runs the gauntlet, gets to the border and says, well, it's Kent next in Brands Hatch, and if I can do this on British circuits and go 4 out of 5, what chance do you have of stopping me? Sonny Kanchin with a beautiful race victory at Snetterton. And as we look even further behind, the battles start to dissipate. Chepelewski versus Hefford, P12, P13 still on.
Chepelewski in front in 13. Hefford looking for that spot behind him. Looks like Chepelewski has the pace. He's going to get that one done as he starts to pull away. Pliss, Worth, and Schwenke go 5, 6, and 7th.
And there's a vehicle slow in Al Heaton, who's letting vehicles go on the final lap, as well as the likes of Billy Bob Wright, the likes of Geordie Fike, and the likes of Stevenson go through. Still got battles like this one. You got Holland, Butel, Murray, and Fiddis all looking to have a scrap towards the line. Hefford will think about it with Chepelewski, and I think Chepelewski's out of fuel here, and he's just going to push him over the line. Very sportsmanlike again from Steve Hefford after what happened earlier on. But 1, 2, 3, and 4 as they head themselves over the line. No chance of making that last gas move there, Soup.
Let's go back to the arrow. Triff Smith in 22nd position as he fights with Kip Stevens.
Seems like a good opportunity into Corrin, the right-hander, and well, it seems that Stevens is going to have to be content here, hoping that there is going to be a mistake at the final corner of Murray's. It can be very easily done. It will not be done. So Kip Stevens, he'll try. He'll get a better run off the exit, but too little, too late, in my opinion there, Soup.
How about we look at 29th position? This is a nice little battle here with Atsushi Mieda, just ahead of Lee Deemer. Also in the mix, Andy Gunderson. This is 27th.
And is it a good run off the exit? You bet it is then from Atsushi Maeda. Let's have a drag race then as we get to the line. Unable to get himself side by side as they go through. The line's approaching quickly though. Atsushi looking to steal one on the exit. He does by about 0.04 of a second. Well played.
I said you couldn't do it off of Murray, and Jake said, well, maybe you can if you get that bad exit. There you see it. Snaked at the end. Nice racing from those guys.
Nice racing indeed. And well, with everybody across the line and everybody done, what we are going to do here at the Global Sim Racing channel is take a very, very quick commercial break here. But when we come back in a few minutes, we'll have the Eagle's Nest Tavern wrap-up, or as I like to say it, the post-race show, where we will run down the entire finishing order, talk to some drivers, and then close up shop. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Eagle's Nest Tavern wrap-up show. Green Valley Lake is the best kept secret in Southern California's San Bernardino Mountains. While visiting, stop into the Eagle's Nest Tavern for a hot meal and a cold drink. They're on Facebook. And so, with the sinister Snetterton skittled, it is time to run down the official classified results after the 5th round of 12 in this series. And well, no surprises who's at the top of this one. A 4th win in 5 for Sonny Kanchan, but it's not a runaway season, even though the points will tell you otherwise. Irunom again gets himself up into 2nd position. Tom-Erik Voll, the rookie, up onto the podium with a brilliant drive in the final stages. And Robert Hartley going from Rich's turn number 1 to rags by the end of the lap there in 4th position. Patrick Fliss, the Slovene machine, will finish 5th ahead of Richard Worth in 6th position. Travis Schwenke kept swimming up 6 positions overall today, up into 7th. With then Nick Thyssen, one of the biggest movers and shakers inside your top 10 in 8th. The Bay State hammer Tom Ratji in 9th. And your leading amateur finishes inside the top 10 in Gianni Quintelier.
The California kid Eric Garcia comes home in 11th in front of Noel Lundberg. Lundberg was racing up with the big boys there for a while. He comes home in 12th. A driver that continues to get finishing positions that really are not indicative of how fast he is. Stelian Chevalevsky in the Baker's Dozen spot. Steve Heppard in 14th. Some good sportsmanship, though, shown from Steve Heppard. Look at that. He actually finishes behind Chevalevsky, who he got into, and Jake spotted that maybe actually pushed him across the start-finish line when Chevalevsky ran out of gas. Billy Bob's right in 15th, all ribbons and curls to 16th, Jordy Fike. Gene Much finished fittest, lives up to his nickname in 17th position. Lauren Murray in 18th. The Frenchman Jonathan Boutel and Derek Holland go 19th and 20th.
Joe McDonald going up 11 positions to 21st in Blackjack. Double deuce for Trip Smith, the Arrow, being Arrow Precision again here today. Kit the Hairflick Stevens, 23rd. He'll lose a lot of points in his amateur championship lead, if not concede that lead to Gianni Quintelier if he's not too careful. 24th, though, goes to Michael Wright. Jörg Dankert, 246 in 25th. Very good job from him today to +2. Ludwig Sauer will finish up in 27th position overall. You got Atsushi Maeda, Andy Goodison, Lee Diemer in 29th position overall, and the last of the vehicles on the leading lap, Jeroen Ursum there in 30.
A bit of testament to how clean the racing is here. 30 drivers finish on the lead lap out of 36. Only 6 guys had trouble, and these guys, even there's a matter of pacers. Richard Stevenson goes 31st, Al Heaton in 32nd. Then 2 laps down was Max Wright. Brian Holmes, though, did run into trouble. He was really fast as he qualified 2nd, not going to get the finish that he wanted in 34th. Jupe the Loop Willemsen in 35th position, rounding out the field. I believe this is his first race this season, and that's Stefan Van Opstroom.
It certainly was, and well, Cesare Rizzo would fail to make the start due to his suspension, but 2 drivers wanting to come in and have a little chat with us. The first one, well, you always have to talk to that race winner, Sonny Kanchan. My goodness me. That's a final lap that will live down in quite a few memories for quite a long time, and I think a lot of people were hoping it would go further after Hamilton Corner, but that half a lap was unbelievable battling between yourself and Hartley.
Yeah, when it comes to Hartley, I'm sure, he wouldn't take it easy. I mean, there would be great viewing for sure, and I don't know how I survived. Honestly, Jake, it's one of my best. I don't know, defense or something, but still, I'm trying to still. That woke me up big time. You know how I drifted away again, just like what happened in Philippine. I was so annoyed with myself, but having had the pit stop and then battling with Hartley, I knew it would come to the final lap, and that's what happened. Credit to Hartley too.
Credit indeed, and of course you make that mistake at Coron Corner, turn number 11, out on circuit, drop back 4 seconds, and you make all that time up again down on pit road, setting that 14-second stop. And when you think about where you are in position and knowing that you have the 1-lap pace and the pit stop ability to arguably go head and shoulders above the field each race, does that put you at a psychological advantage compared to everybody else?
I hope so. Not really. I hope so, because I think it's happened time and again. My my plan was to stay up close in the front, and luckily I was able to. I mean, keep the gap within distance to draft, and as soon as the leaders pitted in, I followed them, and I knew this was my chance. It's either do or die, and you know, as in with all the practice, you know, you can't make any mistake at all. So it all worked out just fine, and I'm glad, and hopefully that that kind of gives me a psychological advantage as well going forward, you know.
Hopefully it does, but from one British track you head to another, Brands Hatch, marking the halfway stage in the championship. And for you, 4 victories out of 5, 1 finish that hasn't done well, but of course you've got the compensation points going in your favour. You know, is this championship geared up for you to get almost maximum points by the end of it if you can continue this form going?
Yeah, well, I hope so. I'd love to keep up the form, and you know, the battle's been intense, and you never know, but I'll do my best. Let's just say that. I mean, hopefully I'll continue to get good finish. That's what I meant. So, wow, what a race! But it's been unbelievable. This is one of my best races, so I'm just still full of drenched in sweat at the moment. What a day to start here.
Sonny, it's Soup here. Just for the viewers, can you guarantee us another mistake next time out of Phillip Island, just to keep it interesting? You done one at Brands Hatch, you did one at Phillip Island, and now one today. Makes for exciting racing.
I can't guarantee there.
Okay.
But you made it so with your vampire mode storyline. I think I can't escape that, but I'm trying hard not to fall into to make another mistake like that. So I'm trying, but you never know.
All right, thanks. Congratulations on the win, man.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. Catch you next time.
Jake?
No worries at all there. That was Sonny Kanchan. You know what, Soup? Since you're so eager to ask some questions, you can have a rolling Estonian.
I got it. We're going to talk to Eero Nummi, finish second. Now, Eero, don't get me wrong when I ask this question to you, because it may sound like I'm insulting you here, but I've seen you race a lot. It looks like you were struggling to get that second. Are you happy with your pace, the way things are going?
Yeah, like I said, I'm still choosing the setup, and this time the quali I made a mistake, but the race setup was much better, I think.
You were racing back there in about 6th position there for a while. Were you worried you're going to lose touch with the leaders?
Not really, but yeah, it was really hard.
At the very end, let's take you to those last couple laps. You're waiting in 3rd position. I saw you make a couple runs in there where you had a couple chances to get up there, then you waited. You just waited for the opportunity to present itself, right?
Yeah, there is no point to make a mistake, and it was too much risk in the 3rd place to push there.
We go to Brands Hatch next. Do you like that track?
I have to race there too. Yeah, I haven't raced in MX-5 there, so I don't know.
Well, it was an impressive 2nd place finish, and what it does is it keeps you in the hunt. It keeps the pressure on Kanchan. He's going to be tough to catch, but at least if he makes a mistake, you're right there. Congratulations, 2nd place finish.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
No issues at all there with the driver of Eero Nummi, but it doesn't matter whether you call him Catch Me If You Kanchan or Kanchan If You Can. There are some things that do stay the same sometimes in the MX-5 World Tour. And one of those is that Sonny Kanchan, more often than not, does tend to find a victory. But that's going to probably be about what wraps up this broadcast. So our thank yous first and foremost. We'd like to thank everybody at the Quality Racing Sim-dicate for organising this series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks also have to go to Heusinkveld. Affordable simulator software and hardware are thought to be of limited use for race teams and drivers, but their simulation solutions bring professional results within reach for any team or driver without having to compromise on realism or engineering value. They offer a broad array of products and services such as advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware. They're able to simulate any combination of race car and track, including a full-fledged cockpit environment with unparalleled realism. Heusinkveld solutions are currently being used by professional teams and drivers in Formula Ford, GP3, GP2, and even Formula 1. Now, These products are available for any professional team or driver looking for an edge in racing, so be a better race car driver and get in touch today. Thanks will also have to go, of course, to Tidal Influence and Eagle's Nest Tavern, the folks over there. A brilliant job of sponsoring our pre and post. We also have to thank the company's equipment and software that you have seen on the screen now that we are using in our broadcast all throughout the week. And of course, the original music that you've heard on today's broadcast is thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact each of them down below, and soon.
Okay, the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour is going to take a week off, but then it will return in 2 weeks, November 11th, for the very next round, round 6 from Brands Hatch. And we are going to be back for 4 in a row. Boom, 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 boom. No breaks after that, as Jake and I are going to be very busy on our Saturdays. GSRC will be there to bring you all the action. We hope you tune in. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, your best bet is, of course, GlobalSimRacingChannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel.
And finally, on behalf of the man on my right, Bill Subzan, the man behind our desk, our director Joe Peake, and the man who some say owns the graveyard, where what you have to say is that there are 36 holes for 36 souls. But those souls, of course, will be for the shoes that they were wearing at one stage. Our camera guru, Dougie Beard, there for you. I'd like to thank you all for watching, so until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.